Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It is Friday, February 7th, 2025, and we're doing AI and nonsense stories for the end of your week.
We will continue on the DeepSeek train because that was every news story this week. And one of the big questions was, hey, all of you other guys that are making AIs that this is competing with, where did those hundreds of billions of dollars go? What are you doing?
OpenAI has evidence that its models helped train China's DeepSeek. Says, oh, the irony. My favorite meme with this was the Princess Bride.
Yeah.
It's like, you've kidnapped what I have stolen rightfully.
So yeah, they kind of ignored the fact that they also steal things, but they downplayed it and they said, no, they cheated. They distilled our ChatGPT and we have logs. We can prove it. I don't know if we've ever seen that proof at this point.
Nope.
But
so do a lot of other authors and artists and other people you've stolen from. So, I mean, does that matter anymore?
They also were interesting. They said, no, this doesn't change anything. And yes, we will continue to spend that amount of money. We're going to keep doing it. We're doing what we're doing right now. We're not changing anything because of this. I don't know if that's true.
It does raise an interesting question. Is like, is there something in the terms of service for OpenAI?
Yes, there is.
That has been violated here. But what if you use that for another work that ultimately, like, where do you draw the line? So it's like
they say hitting their API to train another system is explicitly in the terms of service.
But they paid for it.
Presumably. Yeah, well, because the API access, right? You have to.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, they're saying even if you do that, that's not allowed. That's not something they allow you to do with their system.
What if you hit the API to just use it for comparison? Like it's a human operator looking at it being like, their output's different than ours. That's weird.
Maybe a question for the courts. I can tell you what OpenAI's answer is.
It's weird, though, because, Bing got away with this with Google. Remember when Bing was querying Google and that was apparently fine?
But they're going to keep spending the money and people are going to keep giving it to them.
SoftBank said to be in talks to invest as much as $25 billion in OpenAI. Well, $25 billion really just doesn't go as far as it used to. Although that would be a heck of a down payment on Intel. Why isn't anybody buying Intel? Come on.
And interestingly, Microsoft, who is a big partner with OpenAI, did not take a negative approach to DeepSeek. I think they sort of saw what was going on in the public and they were like, oh, people really like this.
Yeah. Microsoft makes DeepSeek's R1 model available on Azure AI and GitHub. This is an amazing and safe, if you believe Microsoft is safe, way to run DeepSeek not in China. You can have a conversation with DeepSeek and it's running on servers that are on American soil, which is pretty cool. And it's not sending any data to China or anything like that. So that's nice.
And DeepSeek was a big surprise for all the American AI companies, but apparently also for the Chinese ones. They didn't know this was coming because this was a holiday that it was their New Year, right?
Yeah. Still going on until like the second week of February.
I think this was the first day of it, and normally you wouldn't do a big release on this day because people are doing other things, but they felt compelled, I guess.
Alibaba's Qwen 2.5 Max challenges U.S. tech giants and reshapes enterprise AI. At the time we're doing this video, it just dropped, but holy crap, it does actually seem to be even a little bit better for some tasks than DeepSeek. So this is the renaissance where maybe average Joe wakes up and says, "Oh my gosh, this is the AI assistant is actually useful. I can ask it questions and get reasonable answers for just about anything."
Now, not quite as bad as OpenAI, but DeepSeek is not open source. They don't tell you all the details of how they did it. They'll let you run it locally, but they won't give you all the details. Some people believe that they can sort of suss that out.
Hugging Face researchers are trying to build a more open version of DeepSeek's AI reasoning model. In this case, Hugging Face is doing it even more open than OpenAI, and DeepSeek is arguably more open than OpenAI to begin with, but Hugging Face is going to be even more open than that. It's a gradient.
So many openings. And chatbots are taking over customer service. That's just a reality that we're going to live through. It's going to be awful. And it's going to be awful in just weird ways that no one predicted.
Don't call me a virgin, says Virgin Money's chatbot. So Virgin Money is like, it's like, hey, it's a support chatbot. It's like, does Virgin? It's like, no, you can't. What?
So it's hard to read that. I have certain kinds of accounts with Virgin Money, and the chatbot was like, "You can't use that word."
So,
How did they not think of that?
Yeah. How do you not find that immediately in user testing?
Some chatbot company sold Virgin a bill of goods is exactly what happened. It's like, look, you can fire a bunch of people and replace it with this robot. And they said, "Ooh, that sounds amazing." And it had exactly 0 testing.
And we all know that the robots are going to take our jobs. That seems inevitable at this point. And it's moving very fast. But up until this point, it was sort of like companies just doing it behind the scenes, right? But no more. Now they're going to directly compete with you.
LinkedIn removes accounts of AI quote-unquote coworkers looking for jobs. It's like, oh, here's an AI LinkedIn profile. It's like, no, LinkedIn is for people, not algorithms.
And they were not hiding it at all. These accounts weren't just obviously AI, but they were like, hey, I'll work around the clock. I don't get sick. Look how advantageous I would be to work for you.
I don't get sick, but Windows Update remains a problem.
Hashtag ready to work. And Anthropic, who is another of the big companies that are going to be threatened by DeepSeek, unleashed something this week that was completely ignored because everybody's looking at DeepSeek.
Anthropic builds retrieval augmented generation directly into Claude models with its new Citations API. Basically now when you ask a question, it's like, oh, this probably comes from Wikipedia. And then so it'll do a search of Wikipedia, find the thing that it's talking about, read it, summarize it, and then give you the result all in milliseconds.
And you can upload your own documents. So if you're working with, like a contract or something, you can give it the contract. And then your questions, if it comes back with something, it's going to point to where in the contract it is. So you can be like, oh, okay. I know that you actually got that from the contract and not from wherever, China.
It was not an hallucination.
And the question of how do you feed data to these models? If the distillation thing from DeepSeek is real, which I don't know, there's a lot of evidence that it is the eating your own poop problem.
Yeah, that is always the remaining problem.
And it's doing it in a big. It's not even just eating the own poop. It's taking the poop and boiling all the water out of it and like getting a nice concentrated product, eating that. And over at Meta, they're looking at ways to keep getting fresh data.
Meta AI can now use your Facebook and Instagram data to personalize its responses. It's just going to that's a lot of words to say. It's running on your data.
And there's no opt out. I know that's what you were thinking. How do I stop that? You
can't.
You stop using Meta.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like people are just, I don't know. I feel like I use the internet less than I used to because it's like, it's all just garbage. Yeah.
Like in the morning, there's like maybe 5-6 websites that I go to. And then I think about like, what else would I go to on the internet? I don't know. There's nothing.
Yeah.
Reddit/r/HomeLab has a lot of interesting projects. There, you can have your own local offline search engine. You can have your own local offline thing that hits all the websites you like and then distills and summarizes them. It is an amazing time to be alive if you have your own AI assistant summarizing the things.
But
I
want human I want human content. Is what I'm like people talking to people. I'm not interested in like
it'll point you
a summary. Yeah.
Yeah, it's terrible. There's nothing interesting out there anymore. Or at least it's, never going to hit the algorithm. You're never going to find it. And DeepSeek was not popular with everybody. It was popular with the people, the pros, but powerful people didn't like it. Perhaps that had something to do with this.
DeepSeek hit with a large-scale cyber attack and says that it's limiting registrations. This is the cloud-hosted version. So if you wanted to use their service and run it and see what it was all about, it got spammed to try to get people to take it offline. But again, you could just download it and run it on your own stuff.
Well, you have to have some impressive stuff.
No, you can. They have the small models now too, and it's pretty good even as a small model.
I could need those billions. And ChatGPT has released some figures about its demographics, and I guess this is not shocking.
ChatGPT's mobile users are 85% male, this report says.
Also interesting, 50% younger than 20 or 20 in their 20s or younger. But the number 2 demographic was 50 to 64.
Huh. That's really surprising. I feel like my mom doesn't know anything about AI.
Maybe old people are like, lonely and they're interacting. I don't know.
I've definitely been witness to old people trying to interact with Siri as if they're cripplingly lonely.
Ooh.
And this AI would be a lot more responsive to that sort of thing.
I tried to, I had the phone version, and I was talking to my parents, and I was like, no, like, give me an example of, I'll show you how cool this is. And they didn't seem to be that impressed by it. But yeah, not a lot of ladies. They say that women are more suspicious of AI.
That's probably sitting at this table, this very small sample. I would say I'm probably the most suspicious of us three.
I mean, I'm suspicious of it, but like, I'll still use it.
I'm way less suspicious of it if I can run it on my own hardware and see that it's not doing anything on the internet.
But we do have some actual robots still out there. We are still seeing slow movement in the self-driving world.
Alphabet's Waymo to test its autonomous driving technology in over 10 new cities, according to Reuters, including Miami, Florida.
I don't remember what the other ones were to you.
No.
How long for an old
Tokyo.
person?
Truckee, Michigan.
Where the hell is that?
That'll be a severe weather test, right?
Yeah.
San Diego, Vegas. More to be announced. I don't think we'll be seeing them here.
You imagine one of those little tiny icy mountain roads. They'll be fine.
And perhaps we got an answer that we've been searching for since the beginning of humankind, right? This week. And it's not guaranteed, but it certainly fits into the puzzle pieces, doesn't it?
BBC headline says, this asteroid contains the building blocks of life. It is an asteroid from the formation of our solar system, about 4 billion years old.
It looks like a piece of charcoal, this piece of artwork.
That's basically God, if you follow that line of thinking, because it has amino acids and some of the other things that could have deposited whatever we were back then on this planet. You throw a rock at a planet, you wait a couple of billion years, here you go, talking monkeys.
Yeah, there's not a raw star like amino acids are not produced in stars, which suggests that came from the destruction of something else, which is amazing.
And maybe the asteroid giveth, and in a couple of years it'll taketh away.
Astronomers discover a 196-foot asteroid with a 1 in 83 chance of hitting Earth in 2032.
Oh, that would be great.
Now, even if that were, a pure uranium slug, that's not going to do a ton of damage.
Localized damage, it would not, Krista, unfortunately wipe you out.
Unless it came specifically for me.
It's not gonna, based on their best estimations, you are not in the path. Maybe you'll have to
Maybe I'll get on a plane and
Yeah.
rush to the path. Like people who go to see eclipse, travel just to go get hit by the asteroid.
I would say go ahead and pack enough clothes to come back and don't plan because it might not.
Might
It
not
could
work
also
out.
burn up in the atmosphere. We don't know. But that is not your only opportunity to be wiped out of this misery.
Oh,
The atomic scientists adjust the Doomsday Clock closer than ever to midnight, 89 seconds. That's from Reuters. We always report on what's going on with the Doomsday Clock, and it seems like everybody's always ratcheting things up. Nothing's ever getting farther from midnight.
we had a couple years where it was like it fluctuated back, and now it's moved back up again.
I don't know where we're going back to that.
I wonder, suppose the non-human intelligence shows up and is like, Galactic Federation, blah, blah, we're going to neutralize all your nuclear weapons. Do you think they would move it to 15 minutes to midnight, or would it be farther away from midnight than that?
I feel like wouldn't people immediately go to war at that point because now there's no deterrent?
I think the new alien government, they'd set it to whatever they told them to.
It's like, what is this? No, stop this. This is silly.
And here is a beautiful piece of irony. This is more irony than the OpenAI DeepSeek thing. It's hard to beat that, but they did.
Police Officers Union says the man who posted video of police doing donuts is a snitch.
You know what happens to snitches?
There's some discipline happening because apparently they weren't supposed to use the cruisers for doing donuts.
That's fair.
There's a statement in here.
I wouldn't look twice if they were doing it in their own car, but I mean, that is a taxpayer-funded vehicle that we're now going to have to do more maintenance on.
There's a statement in here where it's like, you guys are just being assholes about this, and you shouldn't call this out. You're just causing trouble. And it's like, bro, that's like literally the opposite of how they do it. It looked like fun, though.
Yeah. Yeah, again, if it wasn't, a state paid for car, I really wouldn't care, but do that to your own car.
But think about when we get people that are doing donuts in the intersections, which is different, admittedly.
Yeah, that's holding up
But
traffic.
They can now take your car for that.
Really?
You know what? Someone should get that police car. Whoever that guy that snitched should get the
That's
police
his
car.
car. Yeah. That's his
Asset
car. Now.
forfeiture.
Oh, you've clicked out. I hate this about USA Today.
USA Today has a terrible design. And apparently, everybody wants to side hustle, get their YouTube channel going, or whatever, TikTok,
Store.level1text.com.
and maybe mix that in, because a lot of people are like, oh, hey, here's my job that I do. Here's my day in the life. But you want to avoid this particular part of that.
Disgusting. Healthcare worker charged after video shows her dancing over a disabled patient. She was twerking. She was twerking for her TikTok channel.
And this person presumably didn't have any control over it because they were severely disabled, and why involve them?
Yeah, it doesn't make... It'd be different if the patient consented, but...
There was another example of this too. She was not the only one to do it. There was another girl that did the same thing. Apparently it's viral. And I wish I had more details here because, when did this happen?
Is this a local interest story?
It sounds pretty
California.
It's close to home, huh?
School closes after copper wiring stolen, knocking out the power. Sounds like it's going to take at least a couple of weeks to get power restored. They made it sound like it was internal wiring, but on reread, I think it was probably just the feeder lines or something going to the school. They were stolen for copper, so there's no power at the school. So they have to take all the students that normally go to this school, and they've split them up among 5 other schools, and they're using those temporary shelter things for teaching for the moment.
Feels pretty brazen. And DUI is a topic that we cover a lot here in the nonsense section because it's crazy how often that happens, but this is definitely a unique one.
Flying a drone drunk sentenced for flying under the influence. I guess that's dangerous, so they found some law that fit.
They said it could fall out of the sky. Remember the kid that got hit by the autonomous drone? So they're like, yeah, if you're drunk, you're still operating a vehicle. Do you think that... they can't take your driver's license for this, right? You think they could? That's a DUI.
Maybe.
Are they going to have to have a license for that drone?
And, sometimes kids are annoying. What do you do about it? You can't hit them. You can't really discipline them in these days and age. These people were just solving problems.
Homewood daycare worker caught on camera putting child in a garbage can. I have no words.
I feel like this is something my family would do. Not in a mean way, but as you're being trash. And
they control you.
They would tease you, and be like, you're being crazy. I'm going to put you in the trash can. You'd go, no!
I literally used to play in a plastic trash can when I was a kid. It's fine.
I haven't seen the video, so it could be much more violent and terrible than that.
The kid wouldn't take a nap.
Right.
So, not a crime.
To put a kid in a trash can?
Yeah. They did fire the person.
Yeah, it's again. I don't. It's this is not. If my kid were being horribly misbehaving, and it's listen, we just he kind of was gravitating toward the trash can, so we just put him in the trash can as a quiet place. I'd be like, I get it, it's fine.
Do you remember when they had a lot of schools got caught? They had an anger closet for the autistic kids.
Yeah.
I don't think that's always the worst case thing in the world. My mom used to make me just go sit on a step or something.
Yeah. I definitely, it was just no, you need to.
Engagement
Like I said, I haven't seen the video, so maybe it wasn't a quiet, I'm putting you over in the corner. It was they grabbed him and were mean about it. I don't know. But
I definitely had to sit in the corner a few times.
Would you put your own kids in a garbage can as a way to control them? I put my cats in the carrier sometimes.
Yeah, bad
really
kitties go in the calm down cube.
Yeah. Well, I have to admit, man, this was really well done. They matched the size and font perfectly, and it looks like it must have been really close, right? Because this is crystal clear.
Police investigate Musk salute projected on a Tesla factory.
They got the spacing a little bit wrong between the letters.
This was in Berlin. The Germans are a little sensitive to this kind of thing.
They actually have laws against it, as it turns out.
And it looks like they're going after them with those laws, just because they use the word Heil.
That's too bad.
Well,
because it's really funny.
Let's be real. The arm gesture, the Nazi salute is also not great.
I think if they're going to go after the people that projected it, they should also go after the person that's depicted as well.
I don't think he did it for that purpose. I don't think he's that dumb, and I don't
think
like the
he
man.
is.
I have a great dislike for him, but that would be something else. And this is something else. Where does, when discrimination and physics meet, who wins?
Detroit rapper files a lawsuit against Lyft for weight discrimination because the Lyft driver showed up and said, "You will not fit in my car. I am leaving now."
Now, I don't know how much she weighs. This guy said, you're too big for the back. It was a Mercedes, some kind of Mercedes car. And he said, you're too big for the back seat and you will blow the tires.
Oh.
She's 5'54". But if you had 3 people in the car,
Yeah,
so I don't know that she would necessarily blow the tires.
I don't think she would. But does that make Lyft responsible or this driver? The driver's an independent contractor.
It was his choice for sure. Right? I'm sure Lyft would be like, no, you have to take her.
What if it's, I don't feel safe?
What if he didn't feel safe?
Well, I mean, like that could be an argument. It's like, I thought the tires in the car would blow. I did not feel safe. That is a reasonable, that is not, seems like that wouldn't stand up.
And once again, we have celebrated censorship for a long time. And now look what we're getting. Look where it's led to.
Oklahoma Senator Dusty Devers, which
Like that, you can't make a name like that up.
that sounds like a name that I would have seen somewhere, but proposes a bill to ban all adult material. What to know about SB 593?
It actually sounds like a name of the kind of guy that might work in that industry.
Yeah.
It's very memorable. It's got the alliteration. So,
He sounds like a cartoon character, like a cartoon skunk.
well, I mean, this sounds like a cartoon law too, right? So they start out with the CSAM stuff, which, okay, I mean, everybody's against that. But then it goes on to, like, no, we just must not have it ever for any reason.
Can we bill him for wasting our time on something that won't pass?
And there was some pretty crazy penalties too if you got caught with it, which, I think it would be. It's like one of those things where it's like everybody's going to be guilty of this.
What if I think videos of Dusty Devers are highly erotic? Does anybody who has a video of him?
He actually spelled out in the legislation
Yeah.
what has to be like. It has to be like genital contact, and like he really thought about this.
So like foot fetish stuff's fine
Probably would be, yeah.
under this law. People should really like get uncomfortable and ask him like, what about this? And what about this? What about this other weird thing that you wouldn't think is sexual but kind of is?
Representative Devers, where do you stand on scat videos?
And then watch his face like just go white as you explain every single possible thing.
But one thing I think about a lot these days is the kids that are growing up right now are, if you're born right now,
This was deeply worrying.
you're going to get like 3-4 years old, and we're going to have 3 more years of AI revolution, and that's going to be your life partner. And what is that going to look like? And apparently it's going to be even worse than it already is.
Children starting school unable to climb stairs and using Americanisms due to screen time, teachers warn. So this was in Wales, and the headline is far darker here. There were some students that had not been potty trained. Some students that
By age 5?
literally did not
This-
comprehend how to climb the stairs.
I think this was this might have been 3 or 4.
That's still pretty old.
Yeah, well, I
like
mean,
I used
yeah.
to work with 3-year-olds, and all the 3-year-olds were potty trained.
So they also asked the parents, like, what do you think your kid should be capable of before coming here? And not all of them said potty training should be a requirement. They also now have a policy that if your kid does use the bathroom on themselves while at this facility, you have to come and change the diaper. They're not changing the diaper.
That
But-
seems reasonable.
Yeah.
But like, also we've seen headlines about basic math and stuff. The kids don't seem to be coping well.
Like just being able to count. At that age, they should be able to count.
Engagement challenge. Do you think AI will make that much better or much worse?
I think it's going to make it worse.
Yeah.
Maybe not, though. I don't know.
I think-
It's going to create a bigger gap, right? Some kids will thrive on it, but most will just be.
Or if you don't have
Yeah.
access to a device with it, I mean, like, then you're just
Yeah,
screwed, right?
It's-
Like,
everybody's going to have a phone, right?
I think in my case, it probably would have been way better, but I think that it meant that I would have had to spend less effort working on focusing on one thing at a time, and that probably would have been a net negative.
you wouldn't have learned to problem solve, which would have absolutely been a net negative.
But if they can't walk, They also said it's not just mental, right? The not being able to walk upstairs, they believe some of that is because it's like they're not doing anything.
Motor skill, yeah.
And they're just like swiping at a screen. And when they get out in the real world, it's like the sun is blinding them and they're stumbling into stuff.
When I got Rue, I remember I asked, like, Rue was only 3 months old when I got her. She's a little puppy. And I was like, oh, does she do okay in cars? Can she go upstairs? Because I lived in an apartment that had stairs. It's wild to imagine having to ask that about, like, a 5-year-old.
My cats can easily navigate stairs.
Yeah.
No problems.
Yeah, Rue didn't have any problems. It took her a little bit to get used to, like, going up and down. But
if it's like a fitness type of deal.
Yeah.
Well, we love Buc-ee's. It is a magical place.
It's pronounced Boosie's.
Which is really just like, it just steals your money and everything is overpriced, but everybody loves it. However, they are going the Nintendo route.
Buc-ee sues North Texas gas station chain over claiming its logo is too similar to their beaver logo.
So take a good look at Buc-ee here. Let's see what he's got going on. And here is the offender.
Super Fuels. It's a puppy. It's not a beaver. It's a puppy.
And it's a torso and a cape. They say it is a right angle animal, and that's too close.
I don't really see it.
I don't see it.
I mean, they're both cartoon characters, but you can't say that only we can have a cartoon logo.
Yeah.
Like,
I think that's just Buc-ee throwing their weight around.
Yeah.
Not cool. And perhaps here, I should have put these two stories together. Here's another indication of why the children are so broken.
Elementary school student goes permanently blind after eating too many chicken nuggets. This is in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. And their diet consisted entirely of chicken nuggets, sausage, and cookies.
No greens. How did they not get scurvy?
Well,
they certainly didn't get any vitamin A, which is what is believed to have happened to their eyes, and now they will be permanently blind.
Wow.
And here's a amazing scientific piece of progress, but we have to ask, who needed this? What are we going to do with this?
Mice with two dads have been created using CRISPR, but they went out of their way to say that this would never ever be permitted in humans because it required so much genetic copy pasting. The chances of creating some sort of mutant person of suffering was far too high.
The obvious title here, although it's a very dated reference, would be Mice Two Dads. It was a TV show.
I like that you had to explain because I was like, I don't know what that is.
It was My Two Dads. Yeah. And microplastics. We've all got them. And we know we have them, but do we have many, many, many more than we thought we had? And I was under the impression, I was like, oh, the microplastics in my body have built up over decades, right? I've been abusing plastics for so long. Apparently that's not important.
Microplastics found in the brains of mice within hours of consumption.
Kind of terrifying. They gave them some water with some plastics in it with, dyes to make them show up. And they sawed off their little skulls and put in windows so they could track the brain.
Oh.
And those plastics went straight to that brain.
Yeah. There's a lot of small things. There's a lot of chemicals that will go straight into the bloodstream pretty much immediately as soon as they're ingested.
And here's a nice sociological story.
Peeing is socially contagious in chimps. And this article also gave us the title for this week, which is Monkey Pee, Monkey Do.
Oh, we're going to forget that, but that is really good.
Now, they talked about, like, this is unusual and everything. It's like weird. Why would they do that and whatever? Apparently, these researchers have never been out to dinner with a group of women.
I would say men do this too. Children are very bad. Talking about 3-year-olds, one raises their hand, says, Miss Krista, I need to go to the bathroom. And then suddenly I have 20 little hands up saying, I also need to go.
Anytime I've ever been to a restaurant with a group of girls, they all go to the bathroom together. Did you do that?
Not always. It is kind of, it depends. Like, what kind of bathroom is it? If it's a open bath, you're kind of going to, like, powder your nose, gossip, whatever. If it's just like a closed stall, you don't go together.
We don't know that these chimps weren't also engaging in that while they were peeing.
They should do another study where it's 2 different types of bathrooms.
They don't use bathrooms. The world is their bathroom. Ultimate freedom. And here's another law that is just absolutely insane, and it takes the insanity up to a new level because I guess you have to put like AI and robots in all new legislation.
Oklahoma legislature sees renewed efforts to change rooster fighting laws, and so this is kind of wild. They want to. It's currently a felony. They want to make it a 3 strikes felony, so it's not. It's a misdemeanor the first 2 times, and then it's a felony, which doesn't seem unreasonable.
They also added some language that they wanted it to be okay for a rooster to fight a robot rooster. Who wants to see that? Why not just have 2 robots fighting at that point?
What is happening in Oklahoma? 'Cause Dusty Deaver and then this.
They got some weird priorities.
Making Kentucky look better is what they're doing.
He made a lot of quotes in here. Here's a great one. If I had my choice, I can go over here and stop 2 chickens fighting, or go over here and I can bust somebody dealing heroin. If I had a choice about lawmakers making laws about things, I would choose everything else over this as well. You're doing exactly what you're accusing your opponents of doing. And finally, I thought this one was fantastic. I don't know. It's from Appendia.
Whatever this is.
And it was very short, and it was very short on that. And the report that they referenced was from The Sun, but let's just enjoy it for what it is.
The Royal Navy has mistaken farting whales for Russian drones. So there were the underwater listening posts are so good that there were unusual sounds detected near one of the UK submarines, and there was an investigation. And ultimately, the investigation concluded: wait a minute, these were whales that probably farted.
Also, they didn't want to say whale farts in their scientific material or their responses, I guess. So they, of course, called them whale trumps. See what they did there?
But it's cool that our underwater listening posts are so insane that we can hear that.
What would be the polite term?
Flatulence.
Flatulence. Okay, that's what I was thinking toot, and I was like, no, toot's maybe funnier.
Doesn't it stand to reason though, if our underwater listening posts are that good, we would know all about some sort of underwater drone manufacturing facility off the coast of Jersey? I'm just saying.
Or cable attacks.
Well, I can see that area may not have quite as many microphones, but that would be order number 1, right? Is like NATO's going to deploy a whole bunch of microphones in that area to deal with that.
Are you saying that the government probably knows where Cthulhu is?
Or Godzilla.
Or he's slumbering?
That would be helpful. It's like, hey, Cthulhu, wake up. We might as well get this over
We're
with.
done. We're ready to wrap this up.
Yeah.
It's been a long series since 2020, and the years are just getting weirder. So
It's like we thought we had everything under control after this William Carrier dude put like lead everywhere, and we thought that was going to just be impossible to recover from. We're actually recovering from that okay. But then microplastics happen, and man, we just don't see a way out. So wake up, Cthulhu. It's time to go.
He would have microplastics too because he's in the ocean.
Like, if that's what pissed him off.
We get Cthulhu, but it's dementia Cthulhu.
oh no,
So he doesn't really know what he's doing. He
but he's
keeps
destroying
forgetting.
everything.
Oops.
All right, well, that's it for this week. We will see you guys in the next one on Tuesday. Bye. Start at level1text.com.